Hi everyone, this is Hillary Topper here from We Are Triathletes, and we have a great presentation today. Chris V of Peak Triathlon Coaching is going to talk all about how to be a first-time triathlete and what to expect. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Chris.
How you doing, everybody? My name is Chris Veilleux, and I'm one of the assistant coaches with Peak Triathlon Coaching. And what I have is a presentation I'm going to do. It's called Triathlon 101. It's a PowerPoint presentation, so I got a bunch of slides to go through. I'm going to try to keep it quick, concise. There are a lot of slides, and hopefully at the end you can have some questions. And if we do run out of time, I will leave my email up. And if you have a question, you can shoot me an email and just let me know in the subject that you were listening to the We Are Triathletes presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. So I'm going to share my screen here, and hopefully we get this up. All right, so Triathlon 101. So this is a little bit about me. I actually started racing triathlons about 10 years ago now. I was a music teacher in the Boston Public Schools, and I became a certified coach. And now I do it full time. I coach at the University Club in Back Bay, Boston. I run the U.S. Masters swim program over there and multi-sport program. So I run cycling classes, running classes. I do a lot of private swim lessons. I'm a USAT Level 1 certified coach. You can see on the right here, Ironman U certified coach, US Masters Swimming. I've done 5-time Ironman finisher, and I have a bunch of different age group wins and podium finishes, things like that. So I've been racing. I love it. I love the community that triathlon has kind of brought. So I'm really love it a lot and kind of like live by all of this. So the agenda here, we have going to go over a little bit about the tri distances, the gear you would want for your races and training, race basics, a little bit about training, and a little bit about nutrition. So the tri distances we have the sprint distance race, which is the shortest. Then we have the Olympic, half iron, and then Ironman. So sprint, we usually have a 750-meter swim, 20-kilometer bike, and 5K run. Sometimes the swim and bike distances vary. Usually you end up with a 5K run. And if you are beginning your triathlon journey, I would definitely recommend starting with sprint races and then venturing into the Olympics after maybe 1 or 2 years of getting a couple sprint races under your belt. And then, if you definitely want to jump up into longer races, after 3 or 4 years, maybe start into half iron and Ironman distances. I do really feel that it's important to start at the sprint distance so you get comfortable with how the race is run, and that you also kind of ease your way into the training aspect of things and not to get injured. Let me see here. This is Tri Gear. We got a little picture of some of our club members. So we're going to go over need to haves. So for the swim, you need to have a bathing suit and you need to have, usually a swim cap is provided at the race, and you'll need to have goggles. So these are need to haves. Nice to have. Nice to have would be a swimsuit or a tri-suit, something that you can swim in and then you don't have to change before getting onto the bike. Usually these are form-fitting, and when you do get onto your bike, you're not going to have any wet, baggy clothing to deal with. Nice to have is a wetsuit as well, for sure. For the bike, you need to have, there we go. Bike, obviously, helmet, and water bottle, and sunglasses for sure. The sunglasses, it's not necessarily just for the protection from the sun, but any debris from the road of cyclists in front of you, things like that. It's great to protect your eyes. So it's not just necessary to have in case it's a sunny day or not. It's great to have something to protect your eyes, and you definitely need to have a helmet. And for a lot of sprint races, you don't need to have a tri-bike. You don't even need to have a road bike. You could use what they call some kind of a hybrid bike or even a mountain bike if you wanted to try a race first to see how you like it. Nice to have all these other gadgets. So cycling shoes with clips, so we call them clip-on pedals. It's nice to have a gear bag that you'd be able to fix flats. Obviously, if you have a tri-suit, that's going to be tight clothing. But if you're swimming in a bathing suit, you might want to put on some bike shorts and a bike top that's going to be a little bit more form-fitting. Socks, computer to track your speed and distance. That's really nice to have. And sometimes if you have a road bike, you could have aero bars, something that clips on to kind of put you in a more aerodynamic position. But again, these are things that are nice to have. For running, you need to have running shoes. That's really all you need. You'll be wearing the same clothing coming off the bike. It's a great idea to go, if you're starting out running, to go to your local running shop and get a gait analysis or have somebody watch to see if you pronate or not, and get you a pair of shoes that really work for you. It's nice to have also somebody see you run or be able to try them out on the sidewalk. I know a couple stores here in Boston will let you take the shoes outside. You can kind of run up and down the street to kind of feel what it's like when you actually do kind of put the amount of pressure that you would in a pair of running shoes. These are nice to have for the run. A baseball cap or a visor. It catches sweat, blocks the sun, or even if it's raining, will block the rain from hitting your face. Again, sunglasses, you could use the same pair coming off the bike. Socks, and maybe if you're doing a longer race, you could have some kind of handheld hydration so that you didn't need to use the aid stations. But most races, I won't say every because I don't know every race, but most races do have aid stations. Even on sprint distances, they'll have an aid station maybe about 1.5 miles in on the run. So you could stop, get a drink of electrolyte drink or water, and then finish the race. These are also nice to have. Sunscreen. You definitely, you're going to be outside for a long period of time. It's really important to put sunscreen on at the beginning of the race. For a sprint, you could probably put it on at the beginning of the race to get a really good sport style sunscreen that's going to stay on. You want to protect your skin as much as you can, especially during training and racing. This is not just for racing, but I highly recommend wearing sunscreen when you're training outdoors all the time. Body glide is really important to have as well because chafing hurts. And when you go swimming, you get wet, and then you start cycling and then running. Having something that's wet, your wet clothing, you could chafe pretty bad. So you can put it on any hot spots. This is also good to try out during training. If you end up with hot spots from training, definitely some body glide is important. All right, race basics. The swim. You can use any stroke you want during the swim of a triathlon. I definitely recommend trying to stay on your front as much as possible. I have seen a lot of backstroking in races, and you tend to go off course with backstroke, and you want to try to swim as much of a straight line as possible down to the swim exit. So swimming backstroke, I don't necessarily recommend that, but you can if you feel like you need to get some breath and you're having some struggle and want to make forward progress, but you can use any stroke. You can tread water, you can float, and you can stand on the bottom. So if it's a really shallow race and maybe you had a rough start or you're starting to hyperventilate, trouble getting your breath, you can stand up. You can even porpoise, like dolphin dive, you can use the bottom to make forward progress. You can jump off the bottom if the race is really shallow. You can rest. Usually they'll have races, they'll have kayakers. They may have people on surfboards, things like that, lifeguards. If you do come into any problem, you can hold on to the kayak. The only thing is you cannot make any forward progress. So whatever you're holding on to, you can't be moving in the direction of the swim finish. You can hold on and stay in one spot. You just can't make any forward progress. So again, if you need some kind of help or aid, don't, feel free to grab anything that you can. Try not to flip over the kayaker if possible. But you can hold lightly on and, just stay flow until you catch your breath, and then you can continue. You cannot use fins, gloves, or paddles, or anything that's going to kind of aid in your forward progress or make you move faster than someone else. So the start of the race. So you have a mass start. So that is where everyone is starting at the same time. You have a wave start. This is where you're broken up into age groups, usually by 5 years, and sometimes they'll group smaller age groups. So, or split age groups that are bigger. So the 30 to 34 age group might get split from, 30 to 34, if your last name starts with A to L. And then it goes, the second group will be later. And all those will have times that they will start. Time trial start. This is where you line up in one huge line, and they may let you go 2 by 2, just like a time trial bike start where, a couple people start at a time. And then there's a beach start where everybody starts on the beach. When the horn is blown, you run to the water, jump in the water, and start the swim. And then there's the in the water start, which is what you see in the picture on the slide, whereas you start in the water, everybody starts in the same place. When the horn is blown, then everybody continues. All right, the exit into transition 1. So from swim to bike, we call it T1. Sometimes races will have what they call wetsuit strippers. So when you're exiting the water, what you're going to do is unzip your wetsuit, get it off your arms, get it below your waist, and you're going to run over to these wetsuit strippers where you're going to sit down, and you're going to have 2 people on each side. They grab each side of the wetsuit, and they just rip it off your legs. You get up, they hand you your wetsuit, and then you can run to where your bike is in transition. And this is where you got to find your bike. This is kind of important. When you do get to your race and you put your bike in the transition area, one of the things I like to do is I like to walk to the swim exit. So where you would come out of the water and enter the transition area. And then from there, I walk a path back to my bike to find out which path I'm going to take, whether I'm 4 rows down, then take a left, and that's the row I'm in, or if I have, depending on where I have to go. So I will walk that path to my bike, and then I will take where I am from my bike, and then I will walk to the bike out. And then I will do the same thing from where the bike in, back to my, where I rack my bike, and then from the bike to the run out. So I kind of have a map in my head of where I'm supposed to go to find my bike. I also have a Boston Red Sox towel that I use in my transition area. So I know when I'm running down and I see that Red Sox towel, that's where I'm going to stop. Some people like to put little flags and will tape it to the bars. You can do that if it's small, but a lot of folks, you would hang a balloon, things like that, but they definitely don't want you to do that now. So you could probably put something in transition that would catch your eye to be like, hey, that's mine. Because even sometimes when you're running in, everything starts to look the same. But it's really important to kind of walk these different paths to have an idea of where you're supposed to go when you come out of the swim. This is where you're going to change your gear when you're coming out. Let's see. Helmet fastened. So one of the first things I like to do after I get my wetsuit on is I put my helmet on and I clip it. This is really important. You do not want to get on your bike without clipping your helmet because you could be penalized for that. Oops, there's nothing on that side. What's happening here? Oh boy. There we go. Oh, that was really dramatic there. Nice and slow. Yeah, helmet must be on and fastened while you are on the bike. Right, you want to keep it nice and snug. You don't want your helmet too forward or too back. All right, so when you're running out of transition, there's gonna be a mount line. So you need to get on your bike after you pass the mount line. You cannot get on that. There'll be tape or paint or chalk, probably not chalk, definitely tape or paint on the ground, and it will say mount line there. You're gonna need to run past that with your bike, and then you can get on your bike. So you see in the picture, there's that orange line. You notice the guy's getting on his bike after the orange line. And you'll also want to make sure that if you're a little bit slower getting on your bike, do it off to one of the sides, so that, because there are going to be a lot of people probably coming out, and if you're a little uncomfortable with it, you don't want to be right in the middle of everything. So kind of pull off to the side, get on your bike, and when you start pedaling, take a quick look around before you start pedaling to make sure you're not going to run into anybody or anyone's going to run into you, because it can be kind of a hectic area. The bike. All right, no drafting. Most of our races in USA Triathlon or WTC are non-drafting races. So that means you need to stay back 3 to 4 bike lengths behind the person in front of you. If you are passed by someone, you have to drop back. So if somebody's coming up alongside of you and they're going to pass you, you have to drop back, and you have to pass within that person has to pass within 15 seconds. So if someone's coming up past you, you're not allowed to try to race this person to stay in front of this person. You have to drop back, let the person pass, and then you have to wait 15 seconds before you can pass the person in front of you. Again, no blocking. So what this means is when you're on the bike course, you need to stay to the right unless you are passing, and don't cross the center line of the road. This is really important and extremely safe. I've been in a lot of races where it's somebody in front of you and he's riding, that person is riding way to the left. It's unsafe, especially if the people are passing are coming at much higher speeds. So if you're comfortable and you're riding your race and your pace, stay to the right. And if you're coming up on someone, just take a quick look to the left, make sure no one's coming, and then you can pass that person in front of you. Just tell them that you're on their left or on your left. Make that pass, and then move right back over to the right side of the road when you can. Dismount. So where we mounted our bikes, we're going to have the dismount line. So when we're coming back in, slow down. This is really important. You don't want to come in at full speeds. You need to get off your bike before the dismount line. So if we look in the picture, there's a blue line on the road. The person got off their bike before that line. You're not allowed to pass that line while still on your bike. And once you come off your bike, then you can continue running into the transition area, which we call T2. Again, we need to find your spot. So if you did your homework at the beginning of the race, you walked from the bike dismount line back to your transition area. So you'll have a nice smooth run back to your bike mount area, put your bike down, change your gear, and then from there, you're gonna run to the run exit. So for the run, you are not allowed to use your headphones or any type of device. You will get a penalty. I know people see it all the time. It's just those people haven't been caught. So it's really important. No headphones in. You want to stay completely alert on the course at all times. So there's no, you're not allowed to listen to music or have headphones in while you are running. And from there on, you're going to run straight to the finish. So let's go into a little bit about training. I'll keep moving through this. So the basic theory is you're going to overload, which is the exercise, and then adaptation, which is rest. So overload is what you're doing when you're training, and then your body is adapting to the training when you're at rest. And then we have specificity and reversibility. All right. So we have triathlon-specific endurance and then triathlon-specific skills. So let's see here. Get this thing here. Oh, I can minimize that? Oh, sweet. There we go. Now I can see it all. All right. So comfortably swim 580 yards, have open water confidence in sighting, buoys, and exit. Oops. This is training for transition. You want to be comfortable running in bare feet, taking off your wetsuit, so stripping off your wetsuit, changing into your bike gear, running with your bike. That's really important. I mean, this is something that we don't think about, but when you're running with your bike, do you hold your handlebars? Do you hold your bike seat? If you hold your bike seat and run, do your bars keep flopping and your bike keep turning? And then practice getting on your bike. So the training part, you want to be, this is for sprint distance, you want to be comfortable riding 10 miles. So this is bike handling skills out on the road and taking a drink while you're moving. A lot of folks struggle with, once they reach down to their water bottle cage to grab their water bottles, they turn their handlebars. So this is something you definitely want to practice while you're training. This is transition 2. So getting off your bike, so coming in, getting off your bike, jogging with your bike, and probably maybe even jogging with your bike shoes on if you're not going to leave them on your bike, which is kind of more of like a level 2 kind of training. And then changing into your run gear. For the training part, you want to comfortably run 3.1 miles or 5K. All right, a little bit about nutrition. So I'm going to kind of go through this. For a sprint distance, you can kind of get away with not really being on point with your nutrition because it's not as long a race, but we still want to make sure that we take care of our bodies while we're doing it. So while we're training and racing, you're going to want to obviously drink lots of fluids, water, sometimes water and electrolyte drinks, and then also sometimes taking in some kind of carbohydrate while training and racing. So 1 hour or less, if you're in like an average heat and humidity, you can pretty much get away with drinking water. So 1 hour or less in hot and humid conditions, you're gonna want water and an electrolyte beverage. So I use Scratch products. I mean, I'm not here trying to endorse products, but I definitely, have researched a lot of products to use. I've tried Gatorades, Powerades, Power, the Power Bar, Perform, all these different types of, so you need to find something that agrees with you, but also is kind of, I think, kind of natural because you will be drinking a lot of it during training and racing. So you want to try to stay away from as many fake sugars as possible. Nutrition, so 1 hour or less, you're in a hot and humid condition, you're gonna need water, electrolytes, and some type of carbohydrate. So, you could get it from real food, a banana, that works really well. Or you could use a gel or some kind of product that has a little bit more carbohydrates than your electrolyte drink. So how much fluid? We want to, drink to maintain your body weight. So more than 2% loss will affect your performance. So, 1 kilogram of weight loss equals 1 liter of fluids, and 1 pound of weight loss equals 15 fluid ounces. So if I did a 1 hour workout and lost 1 pound during that 1 hour, I would need to make sure that I'm drinking 15 fluid ounces of water an hour. So we do sweat tests for a lot of our athletes that are racing longer distance races. In a sprint, this is probably not going to affect you as much as if you were doing an Olympic or definitely a half Ironman to full Ironman, because you'll be out there for a lot of hours. So we have a little bit of a thing here. Yeah, so 150 pound start, 145 pound finish. So 5 pounds of fluid loss equals 75 fluid ounces that someone would need to take in during that, whatever the duration of time. So it's really important to kind of know how much fluids your water bottles hold. So we have down here the old school water bottles are 16 ounces, medium bottles are 20 ounce, but most of the normal size large bottles, bike bottles are 24 ounces. So that person would need to drink 3 bottles of fluids during whatever duration. It's not typical to lose 5 pounds during a sprint. But if this was probably like an Ironman distance, somebody can definitely lose 5 to 10 pounds during that race if they're not adequately hydrating themselves, and that's very unsafe. So here's some nutrition options. These are all things that we like to use for peak and recommend to our athletes. So Scratch is a great hydration drink. Base electrolyte salt. On really hot days, it's really important to maintain your sodium intake. And the glucose gels are definitely really good to use. A lot of these things, so glucose is made from the actual glucose that is in IV bags. So it absorbs straight through the wall of your mouth versus straight gut absorption, which is you're going to get the benefit from a lot quicker than some of the other products. All right, just keep it simple. Water plus electrolytes plus carbs. Find a solution that works for you. You definitely want to use it in training, and you never want to experiment with anything on race day. So when you sign up for your race, you're going to get a nice little bag at your when you go and register, and there's going to be lots of products in there. Unless you've been using them to train with, I don't recommend taking any of them during that race. You could always try it after if you wanted to. How am I doing for time here? Oh, good, just a couple more minutes. All right, this is really important. Make a checklist and prepare before your race. On the USA Triathlon website, they have, you know, a kind of like a general use of things gear that you'll want to bring for your race. It's great to make this checklist and do it by event. So swim, bike, run. What do you need for your swim? What do you need for your bike? What do you need for the run? What do you need before the race? And what do you need after the race? Make this list and pack your bag always the night before so that you're not rushing around on race day. Registration, things that you're going to get there, numbers. You'll get a swim cap, your timing chip. Immediately when you get your timing chip, put it on your leg. You're going to find out what starting wave you're in, and you're going to get some race swag. Body marking is the next place you'll go before you enter the transition area. This is where one of the volunteers is going to write your number on your arm and your age of whatever you are, however old you are, of December 31st of that year on your calf. So transition setup, find your spot, rack your bike, attach all the numbers, and I think you right when you get your timing chip, when you register, put it on. Transition setup, bike gear near, run gear far. So if this towel was set up, my bike next to it, I'm going to put my bike gear first and the run gear on the other side of it, so that when I come out of the swim, my bike gear is closest, I can grab that, and then when I come back in for the bike, I can grab my run gear. All right, I do have a little time for questions. So this is a little bit about us. You can see we coach everybody. One of those is my athletes and one of those is Colin's. The little symbol, they call that pump the P for peak tri coaching. That's kind of their little thing on athletes. And here is my information. So it's chris@peaktricoaching.com. You can feel free to contact me with any questions if I can't answer them right now for you. And I am done. I can stop.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody has any questions. I think that was pretty comprehensive, and I appreciate that.
Sorry, it's quick.
The only question I have is, you know, you make the swim is usually chaotic. I think that's the most chaotic out of the bunch, where, you know, people run in and, you know, they jump on top of each other, and, you know, people are kicking. What do you tell your athletes to avoid that scenario?
If I have any athletes that are, you know, it's their first time or they're a little nervous, I always have them start in the back and line themselves up with the buoys. So if the buoys are on the right, I don't want them to line themselves up in the back on the left. Just stay back. Let the mass chaos start, and even, you know, just walk yourself into the water behind everybody. And then as things kind of, you know, as most people kind of get out there, then just kind of start your own pace, and just make sure you stay calm and collected. But I always tell them just walk in right behind. So as everyone is running and splashing and going crazy, you walk yourself into the water, and maybe it takes you 20 to 30 seconds to get yourself in the water. That's 20 to 30 seconds that they might not have to stop and hold on to a kayak because they got, you know, they got caught up in the mess, and now they're hyperventilating. And with a calm start, you know, they're probably going to have a much better swim than if now they have to try to settle themselves down by holding onto a flotation. But the minute they start again, they still might not be able to catch their breath. So it's really important at the start, you know, just kind of walk your way in, let the people in front of you go, and then you just kind of, you know, start your own race.
There was another question. I don't know if you see it on the board. It says, is there a protocol for passing during the swim phase like in the bike phase?
Not at all. Not at all. It's every man for themselves in the swim, or women for themselves. So you can pass as much as you want. You can swim over people if you want to. And it's really, one of the things is you want to sight often. So as you get settled in, I like to sight twice in a row, and I take a mental picture with the first one, and then I'll do another sight and I'll take that mental picture and I kind of play it in my mind. Try to stay on course. That's really important. You don't want to swim any extra yards than you need to, but you can pass as many times as you want.
Okay. I think that's about it. So thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Yeah, this was awesome. Just give us your email information one more time.
Sure. It's chris@peaktrycoaching.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Very good. Awesome. Thank you so much.